if I wanted to see someone sit in their own house, I would watch myself every day. Well, I'm still little. I am still not very tall. I know that that is a huge unpopular opinion. There's still a hair in my eye. There. Can you see? It was still attached to my head. Hello lovely bookworms, I'm Esmay from Paradise Pages on Instagram and also on Twitter, and welcome to a new video. Today is not going to be the most, well, positive video, but today we're going to be talking about books that have made it onto my anti-TBR, hence the title. What this means, you probably already know, but what this means is that these are books that I have no intention of reading. I am about 90% to 100% certain that I will never pick these up. There are a couple of books in here that somewhere along the line I might pick up, but for now, or at least the coming years, ever, I don't want to read them. So, like I said, not that positive, but today we're talking about those, and let's just get into it. I have to say that there's quite a couple of unpopular opinions on here. I have a couple of books that I'm pretty sure will be anticipated releases for people, or have been anticipated releases for people, and I am in no way saying that your taste is bad or that the book is bad. I'm just saying that I personally have no interest in reading them. So, as I don't own any of these, I will be placing a photo of said series, book, whatever, somewhere next to my head, as usual, and let's just get into it. Also, just so you know, these are all books that are sort of inside my reading comfort zone, so these are all books that are in some way, shape, or form something that I would pick up were it not sort of for that book. That sounds very weird. Basically, most of these, if not all of these, are fantasy or thriller, because those are my two main, well, genres. Also murder mysteries, that kind of thing. Those are my genres. That said, that means I will not be talking about any contemporaries. You probably know at this point that I don't read contemporary. I don't plan to read contemporary. I may read one from time to time that is Christmas related or just something that I'm really into, but I don't read contemporary, so I'm not going to be mentioning contemporary books because I just simply won't pick them up, and it's not truly an anti-TBR. I can basically say contemporary is on my anti-TBR. I just don't read them. So I'm not going to be mentioning any of those, and I think I've said enough, so let's start with the first book. So the first book is actually It by Stephen King. I did watch parts of the new movie. I remember watching the old movie a couple of years ago, and I actually know that a couple of people who I know have read this book and were highly disturbed by it, and from what I heard from them, that sort of led me to decide that I don't want to pick it up ever, so I'm not going to. I just think that some elements or things that happen in that book, I won't say anything because of spoilers, but I just don't want to read that, so that is definitely never going on my TBR. I do have to say that I have a couple of other Stephen King books on my TBR that I want to read, but that one is definitely not one of them. Moving on, I actually wanted to name an author. And I have to say that I've read a couple of books by this author. There's a hair in my eye. I can see it. Get out of my eye. I think it's out of my eye. This author I have read a couple of books by, and that is Cassandra Clare. I have read the first 3 books in the Mortal Instruments series, and I didn't really like them. I remember being okay with the first one, rushing through the second one, and I did enjoy the third one, but I was just not invested enough to continue. I have tried multiple other books from different series because some say that those are better, the Infernal Devices, but I know there's also different series still, and it is just not for me. I can just safely say that the Shadowhunters world is not for me. I have watched the new TV show, which, well, parts of it, and the only reason I do that is because of Alec and Magnus, because I love them. But I don't think I will, well, I'm never ever going to pick up any of Cassandra Clare's books. That's not because I think they're bad, I just think they're not for me. Also because they're situated in real life, and I usually gravitate towards high fantasy. It's just not for me, and I think that more than enough people love and read them, so it doesn't have to be me. Next up is another very probably controversial one for me. An unpopular opinion for sure. I think people will cut me down for this, please don't, and that is The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. And I have my reasons. There's still a hair in my eye. There. Can you see? It was still attached to my head. That's better. The reason why I don't want to pick this one up is because I read The Night Circus. I read The Night Circus about a year and a half ago, and I didn't like it. I know that that is a huge unpopular opinion. I know that a lot of people love that book, and I don't get why I don't like it. Well, I do. It's very plot driven, and I feel like I have not gotten to know the characters any better. I really didn't like the world they were situated in, and in general just the writing style. I feel like it wasn't for me. It was just, I wouldn't necessarily say too dense, but just not something that I liked. I can't really pinpoint what it was or why, but I didn't like The Night Circus. And I know that a lot of people have hyped The Starless Sea. For a lot of people this is their all-time favorite book, and I know that I'm crushing your hearts. I am so sorry. I'm not saying it's a bad book, I am just saying that I am in no way inclined to pick it up, and I don't think I will. Oh, I know that people hate me for this, absolutely hate me for this, but sorry. So next up is a series, and that is the Cinder series. I have seen this one float around BookTube, but also just in general through the reading community for, well, a very long time now, ever since I was little, 13. That's not, well, I'm still little. I am still not very tall, but anyway, since I was 18, I've been hearing things about the series. I feel like everyone at this point has either read it or has pushed it to the side. I'm gonna be one of those. I don't think I'm ever gonna pick that series up. I'm just not interested in it, and to be frank, I don't know what it's about either. At least I don't anymore. I know that I've tried these books multiple times in my native language, which is Dutch, and I didn't like them then, and I don't think I will enjoy them now. So next up is another series, and that is Game of Thrones by George R.R. Martin. I don't think this one is even finished. I doubt it ever will be finished if I believe the readers, but I enjoyed the TV show for as much as I saw of it, because I just didn't watch the last 2 seasons, I think. But I was just never inclined to pick up the books. I think they're probably very, very dense, at least from what I've heard. And I'll just watch the TV show because I enjoy the TV show. I know that is such a weird thing to say for someone who reads books more than they watch TV, and I usually prefer books over TV or the movie or whatever, but with this one I just have no intention to ever pick up the books. That's also because I wasn't that invested in Game of Thrones. I enjoyed it, but it wasn't my all-time favorite series, so that's on my anti-TBR. In that sort of same vein, because I don't see them in the same sense, but this is a series that I'm just in general not invested in. I didn't like the movies for as much as I saw of them, and I'm never going to pick up the books, and those are the Lord of the Rings books by Tolkien. I don't like Lord of the Rings. There, I said it. I know it's an unpopular opinion. Many people love it. I don't. I just don't have any interest. I just don't like the fandom that much. In general, I didn't like the movies. I don't think I saw all of them. I think I saw an hour or an hour and a half of the first one. I tried watching The Hobbit. That was a mess. It literally takes them over an hour to get out of the house. If I wanted to see someone sit in their own house, I would watch myself every day. I mean, I practically do, but, you know. I know that I'm never going to pick them up because I just don't like The Lord of the Rings. Okay, so the next 2 books on this list are by the same author, and I'll just start with the first one, and that is actually one that isn't out yet, but I know I'm not going to read it, and that is A Court of Silver Flames. This is the 4th book in the A Court of Thorns and Roses series, trilogy, series, whatever you want to call this thing, and I don't want to read it. So let me give you a little bit of background why I don't want to read it. So couple of years ago, just before I really got into reading, and also just before I met Femke, by the way, I started reading Throne of Glass, and I enjoyed Throne of Glass. I, at that point, had read, I think, all of the books that were out at that point, and then I decided, you know what, I want to read A Court of Thorns and Roses because I've heard really good things about it. Let's do this. So I read A Court of Thorns and Roses, was actually really, really impressed by it, and loved that book. Then went into A Court of Mist and Fury because that one was already out at that point, and thought it was the best thing in existence. I still think that it's a true 5-star, love that book to death. No longer think it's the best thing in existence because we have the City of Brass now, but still, really, really good book. And because of that book, I was so hyped for A Court of Wings and Ruin that I think I ruined it for myself, but also put it all just a little bit too high because I was really disappointed by A Court of Wings and Ruin. I think the ending of that sort of trilogy, so the first 3 books about Farah, I love the first 2, don't really like the final one. Then we got that mini novella thing that sort of, it was cute, it wasn't anything substantial, and then we're getting, I think, the second trilogy, which is about Nesta. And that's the problem, because I personally didn't like Nesta in the ACOTAR series, the trilogy, the first 3 books, and I sure as heck don't like her now. So I am not gonna be reading anything about Nesta. This is all gonna be to the side. I don't care. Not gonna read about it. I love Cassian, but it's just not worth it to me to struggle through 3 books with a protagonist I know I don't like. And then moving on to the final book that is on this list, which is in the same vein. That one is House of Earth and Blood, which is the new, I think it's a new adult or an adult series by Sarah J. Maas. I don't know too much about it, but I personally think that it's all fae. It's all the same thing, but in a different setting. And I just want to read different things and different authors. And I'm just, in no way, I remember reading the synopsis. And at one point I was very, very close to starting it actually, because of the amount of positive reviews I've got. And I know that Femke read it and she enjoyed it, from what I remember. But it's not worth it for me to pick it up. It's a huge book and I would rather read something else. So those were actually all of the books on my anti-TBR for now. I'm pretty sure there's more than this, but this is just, I thought it was already quite a hefty list. I do have quite a couple of books in series that I'm not going to be continuing, but I think I'll do a video about that maybe next year somewhere. But these are the books that are currently on my anti-TBR. I don't think they're going to change anytime soon. I think they're going to stay on here. The only book on here that I will say I might just read at some point is The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern, because I am planning to reread The Night Circus to see if I like it, or just in general do a reading vlog of The Starless Sea. If you want me to read that book, let me know. I'm not sure I can actually say that, but I did want to put it on this list because I really don't want to read it, but that's the only book that I can say that I might just read. So that was actually everything for this video. I hope you still enjoyed it, even though it was a tad bit negative and I talked about books I didn't really want to read or have no interest in reading. But thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to our channel and press that little bell icon so you get post notifications every single time that we post, and I hope to see you guys in the next one, which should be tomorrow. Bye!